Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Meelas, an Abu Dhabi Wargaming podcast. The Meelas Podcast is hosted by me, Simon, and joining me virtually for another episode is my co-host Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
This episode, we're covering our usual segments of what got played at the Meelas, what's on the hobby table, as well as our main topic, which is announcing our Warhammer 40,000 second edition campaign, which is very exciting. So even
Whoa.
though I am... Whoa, yeah.
Yay.
Can you hear the hype? This is Ibrahim hyped. He says, "Whoa!"
Whoa. Elongated whoa.
Wow, there's at least two O's in that whoa.
Yes, definitely. At least.
It's important for the transcript. So, even though I am bereft of Karak and Arabic coffee once again, let's get straight into it with what got played at the Milas. So, Ibrahim, tell me, what games have been in the Milas this week?
So we had two games going on at the same time, which was Legion Imperialis and Infinity. For Legion Imperialis, it was Dark Mech versus Sons of Horus, accompanied by a little warhound to support the Sons of Horus. I'm unsure about the mission they were playing, but definitely looked fun. The guys really utilized the terrain we have in the Meelas, especially in that scale, and it was pretty cool. At some point, I saw most of Adam's army, which was the Sons of Horus, in the in Adian's deployment, and for some reason, Adian's army was in Adam's deployment. I was like, are you guys playing Drop Fleet? What happened there? Why is everyone in the others deployment? And
To be
I
fair, if
think
those spiders were coming towards me, I'd go the other way. So that makes
yeah,
sense.
so you would go through them. To be fair. And as far as possible from them, I guess is one way to do it. That was same time kind of overseeing the other Infinity game just to be like rule checking and stuff. It was the Shinden Butai GSA, which was being played by Dima against Ahmed Toha. It was just a kill mission. Whoever can do the most damage to the others, just counting up the points to see who killed more point wise.
Who ended up winning that?
Shinden Butai ended up winning that, obviously,
Mm.
because Toha never wins. It was kind of a close game, um, but Shinden Butai is really good. And
Mm-hmm.
Dewey kind of knew what he was doing sometimes. Beside the little sneak peeks, he actually kind of nerfed himself in a few occasions,
Yeah.
so that didn't help the Toha's case of losing. It was a fun game and gorgeous table as always, and I'm sure both guys had fun.
I really love that terrain we have for Infinity in the Milas. It's so gorgeous. All those beautiful buildings and they're much fun to put together, and they're good fun to play on as well.
They add the depth that you want in games like Infinity, as it's a very terrain heavy game. It was really fun to see. Infinity being played again. It's been a while. And the day after, I also played a game against Adam's Iron Hands with my Custodes
Hmm.
finally hitting the table. It was also a
Yeah.
really, really fun game. I was not expecting to enjoy playing Custodes as much because painting them wasn't hard, but it was not fun. It wasn't satisfying. But playing them was really fun. For the first few turns, it was a bit boring because Custodes really require that movement. I was just being shot at. I was like, okay, and we just kept dying. And Adam brought in a really good list to counter Custodes, plus the Iron Hands special rule of -1 to your strength,
That's
minus the.
such a good rule that the Iron Hands have,
Oh yeah.
because I mean, when I was facing him in Zone Mortalis, every time I think I'm winning on fours, I'm winning on fives, and all of
Mhm.
a sudden the effectiveness of your shooting goes way down, and
Yeah.
until you get into hand to hand, then you can get the advantage. But yeah, I imagine it's even worse for Custodes, just like being shot until you get to charge.
hmm Because I mean, Custodes depend. The whole army had a 2-up save, 10 leadership, 10 cool. So they kind of were fine. The Dread was my MVP. Like, honestly, he cut through those Terminators like nothing.
I saw that picture, which was basically your dreadnought and against half the army. And I thought,
Yes.
is this dreadnought in trouble or is this Iron Hand's army in
No.
trouble? I can't tell.
So, like, when he joined the fight against the first squad of Terminators, killed like three in one slice.
Oof.
They ran away, and then the other squad joined the fight. His other Terminators, they also got sliced. The rest of Custodes, I had a group of 12 that got cut down into one guy. um, and they were the shields, so they were like the tough ones. And then my pinned squad did nothing. Just I want 600 points or 500 points of Custodes that were just pinned for the first two turns. I just
Ouch.
yeah, did nothing. And
But that wasn't really reflected in the score, though, was it?
it wasn't like I think I would have been on top if I used some of my rules right. Because I didn't use my deep strikes at all, and which I was supposed to, because that's how you can get Custodes into the fight faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we ended up at it was 6-6, and Adam had +2, so he was on 8 because he killed my warlord. I mean, more like crushed it with his Leviathan. Um, I had my revenge. He died, but I mean, poked to death. But still, it was a really fun game, and it really pulled me back into the heresy. Playing Custodes is such a power play. Like it feels like you're scary, but they're not invulnerable. Like they die. A lot died, a lot. Like by the end of the match, I had 12 Custodes alive compared to that 30 that I started with.
So if
So
half your army's died, but you're
yeah,
still quite lethal, and that makes them feel elite, I guess. And they're
yes, really.
scary close combat monsters,
Oh
but
yeah,
they've got to get there first. And that's
exactly.
the way to beat them, I guess.
Yeah, just kite them. Don't get close to custody. Just don't. It's bad. It's
Melee army's thinking, what do I do? What do I do?
yeah. Bring artillery, rapiers, pin them down. Anything. We also saw the leaked Terminators, which made my wallet cry in pain because I'm definitely
Yes.
getting those.
The new
Um,
Aquilon, which look like they're in plastic.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're definitely made in plastic. That's kind of their whole thing. It's lovely. I
Mm.
love it.
I'm really glad you got to actually use them for the first time properly. Now they've been
Yeah,
finished at that level. So that's really
yeah.
cool to see.
They were fine, but again, playing them was 100 times more fun than painting them.
Yeah, I mean, I found I was doing at least the previous generation of Custodes because they're so similar, and the only thing that really changes the poses are very similar, and it's only oh, you've got a different symbol on your shoulder that's personal, that's also on your greaves and on your braces, and it's like, yeah, but it's the same thing every time, and even when you change troop type, I'm like, oh, he's got a shield, but everything else is the same. I found them kind
Yeah.
of dull to get through, but I guess on the field they're quite the opposite.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get your point as well because also the lead options is just the spear but with a melta instead of a bolter. So like the variety is very limited, which makes them really boring to paint because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But what makes that a bit bearable is that you only have to do so much. But yeah, that stuff, the boring stuff is out of the way. I'll get to start the fun stuff, which is the tanks, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Should be a quick job as well, but we'll see, inshallah.
Awesome, awesome. Nice to see the game still going on over the summer and a variety of different systems. That's very cool. But what
Yeah.
also has been on the other half of the Milas, which is the hobby table.
So I was working on my Chaos Marauders over the past few days, just prepping for some old world stuff, having fun with that, not really rushing the army because Marauders are just a bit. They got a lot of details, but they were really fun to paint. Went with a very basic beige, browns, some reds here and there, some grays, just a quick scheme, which is really fun. And added some oils, and while that was drying, I worked on the gigantic chaos bone, and that was just a fun little a gigantic chaos bone was a fun little project to do. It was a really quick job. I just primed it white and then covered it in different washes, did some details, and it's basically done.
He looked really cool. I really liked him.
Yeah, it's the old Ford World models. They have something about them. It's gorgeous. I've wanted to paint this model for ages, but didn't really have an army for it. And now that I finally got an excuse in the old world to paint it, I had to do it for my old world army, especially with the new stuff coming out, which I'm really looking forward to.
With that new old world box coming out, you just needed
Mhm.
an extra bit of stuff to go with that army. So hence the Marauders starting off. I'm really looking forward to seeing your Chaos army grow and get some old world. It'll be on my project list. Project
Yeah.
after next, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Depends how much it kicks off. Because if Old World suddenly takes off, then I'll be like, I want to play rank and flank.
Yeah, very fair. It's a, such a, it looks like a cool system to play, and hopefully, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna enjoy it. We literally enjoy everything. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it's gonna be fun little experiment. I was also adding some fantasy into our games palette. Like that's something that we've kind of been missing. Sure, Adam and Hassan play some spearhead every blue moon.
Between that and Blood Bowl, that's about it. But to get a proper fantasy battle game going on at
Yeah,
some sort of
that's
scale was very cool. What else
and
was on the hobby table?
so Adir was also working on his Angel Sanguine.
Angel Sanguine. So half black, half red.
Yeah, really looks cool the way he painted it so far. Love to see how that army is gonna pop up, especially with the new primals being a mix of different armor marks, which is really cool.
Yeah, every bit of Edian's painting I've seen, I really like. So
Oh yeah,
even though there's only like the base coat, you can tell that it's going to be good looking, this army.
new 40k, new fun stuff. Like especially he's also working on some orcs that are also going to be interesting to see how they turn up. Which also like got me excited about maybe starting my orcs, but I said like no, I need to focus on at least two armies right now, which would be the Chaos Marauders and all these. But yeah, armies being painted around really hypes you up about different systems, which is dangerous route. Very
It is.
dangerous.
It makes it so much
Yeah.
easier to start new armies when somebody else is like, just look at this game. You could just do this.
Yeah,
He says, showing you
exactly.
Blood Bowl.
Which I still want to continue. Like I painted half of that. Anyway, sorry, off track. Uh,
That's all right.
yeah, yeah. Adam was also working on his vampire counts. Speaking of new exciting projects, I think he just saw those undead and he was sold. It seemed like an army he always wanted to play as well. We talked about their rules a bit, and they look really fun to play. But he'll probably be getting a lot of the zombies around as well because they really depend on that. So far he's only built his Varghosts, what are they called? Or something like
Vargeist.
that.
My main question with it is, does he have any big robots?
I mean, a Vargeist is just a giant. Uh, no, that's a good point. That's a really good
Is he
point.
is he actually stepping away
He's
from
changed.
type?
He changed.
Wow.
From the Adam we used to know. Uh,
But then again, the Mechanicum in Heresy and to a certain extent 40k play like that Lich undead army
yep,
of if you start killing the characters, then all the rest are just mindless automata.
yep.
And so he's still got a type. Ultimately,
Yes. Yeah.
it's just bone rather than robot.
Yep. The apples did not fall from the tree, I guess. Stick with the same theme. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much fun stuff to do in both the Heresy, Old World, be it Mechanicum, Vampire Counts, or even the different factions within Old World. Especially now that it seems that GW are focusing on it a bit more and giving it some love as well. So we're gonna be fun to see how that grows and what it grows into actually. Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm going to be part of it.
Inshallah.
So yeah, that sounds like I think everybody that was putting paint or glue to model in the Milas in the last week, because we're a little bit down on people due to the summer, including people like me going off to escape the however hot it is at the moment in
Oh,
the UAE.
it feels like we're living in an air fryer. That's how it feels.
Happy to be somewhere where it's raining.
Oh my god, I need rain in my life. Anyway,
If those are our two main topics that we usually get through, the what got played and what's on the hobby table, I'm
was
actually going to switch it over to you because I'm not going to be asking myself questions about this.
yes. So you had your hands full the past week or so with really one of the most interesting initiatives I think we've seen in our little niche hobby and community in the UAE, starting a Warhammer second edition campaign, which is
Yeah.
something really interesting. Love to ask you, why second edition?
And we've trailed this a few times on previous episodes, but for me, the second edition is when I started. Like I picked up my first like RTB01 boxes of Marines just before second edition came out. So I technically played Rogue Trader first, but I was, 11 years old, so I don't think we can really call it playing properly. And then when second edition came out, that was boom, in forever. So for me, that's the nostalgia factor. And also, as you get on in the editions and they kind of simplify it and streamline it, like we found when we played 11th the other week, the older versions, which are so much more crunchy and a bit more wacky and a bit more comedy, but totally lethal at the same time, felt like a good time to return to it, to kind of see where we started. I think people do this with most editions. Like you see every 2 or 3 years when there's a new 40K edition comes out, people go, we'll start second, we'll start third, we'll start fifth or
Mhm.
seventh or whatever. And for me, it's just a good time to say, okay, people are interested in Space Marines, getting Space Marine armies. And if whether you are or not interested in 11th edition, here's something else. So here's second edition. It's a solved system. It isn't getting an update. We know the things that are wrong with it. We know the things that work with it. And it's just, it's safe and different and have a go. You might like it.
What parts of second do you think might attract someone that's either fed up with 40k or is interested in trying different systems?
I think the good thing about second is it feels like a skirmish game as far as 40K goes. Your models go a lot further in terms of getting to 1,000 points. So 1,000 points of Marines could be 20 Marines, maybe a few more. So you don't need as large a collection, which is really helpful. It's crunchy like the skirmish game, but it's still a squad game like GW plays normally. So you can delve down into the individual war gear of your assault squad. Okay, one guy's got a hand flamer and a chainsaw. The other guy's got a plasma pistol and a power fist. And this guy's got a power sword, but also a bolt pistol.
Mhm.
And that's how in depth you can make it if you want. But that obviously then leads to okay, who's attacking whom and what weapon
Mm.
have they got? And then it all starts to get super complicated. But if you want it to be that crunchy, it can. It's having that depth of individual play, but also in the squad level, but at small game sizes. You don't get squads of 20 Marines storming up the table like you would in Heresy now. Plus, if you like the old models, whether you have nostalgia for them or you just think they're a bit funky and weird and janky and cool, then that always helps as well. But the great thing about second is that everything is out there. You don't need to find it on a Russian website. Somebody's made some tokens, somebody else has made some dice, and away you go.
That makes it really accessible as well
Mm.
and should be fun to check out. If armies people consider playing, what was the thing you came up with to encourage people to try second and to join this campaign?
Because it would be a new system to basically everybody, and even the
Mm,
people who it's not a new system for will probably not have played it for upwards of 30 years since it came out in 1993 and ran till 97 or 8, I think. So it's been a
mm.
while. Um,
Yeah,
what I thought was we don't need to have any extra additional complications. String it together like a D&D campaign, and the narrative will come along as the games get played. So what I've done is given a narrative setup, and said, here is the world, here's what's the mystery that's going on. Your force has been attracted to this world, and find out the mystery and fight the battles, and stuff will slowly be revealed. And I'll start to drop little things in, and it starts to unravel the mystery, but without a pre written conclusion. Emergent gameplay, as they'd say. So
Mm.
it will come along, and people will find out. And it's not like it matters who wins. Second
Yep.
edition is easily breakable, but if you've all got the same mindset, then it's fun just to see what happens. And that's where the story comes from this random occurrence, and that's where it'll progress to eventually some conclusion of some kind of apocalypse game in the end around a special
Mm.
mission.
No, I would love to see that and play that actually.
The main drive of this campaign from a player's perspective is the thinking of the question, what in character is your force trying to achieve? Are you trying to kill the enemy general? Are you trying to take a position? Are you trying to outflank somebody? Are you trying to delay the enemy or escape an ambush? Whatever it happens to be. But think of what your commander would be wanting to do in this situation, and play a mission around that. And when you have two players who
Mhm.
say, my commander's trying to do this and my commander's trying to do that, you put them together and go, okay, we can fight a battle around that. And then whoever wins, whatever the weird outcome is, that just feeds into the narrative. These kind of things go forward, and you can just link your battles without having to think about progression and stats and territories.
Do you think that there are any aspects of the storytelling in second edition that might be more appealing to 40k players that, for example, played 11th, 8th, or like from those newer editions?
Partly the characters and special characters can be very powerful for their points. This is kind of the era when Hero Hammer became a thing.
Mm.
So suddenly the characters can start to take over a little bit. If you want to focus on that, they can really start to tell a story through those characters. You can do that in most GW systems, but I think second is well focused on them being very good. And as long as you don't put them in silly positions on their own to get killed, you can actually tell the story more easily through your characters. Like when we
Yeah.
played and I was shooting your Orc Dreadnought, and then I'm rolling on a damage table, and we go, okay, we hit the leg, and he's
Mhm.
limping. He can only go D3 inches. And that
Yep.
kind of feeling goes throughout second ed, because you've got blind grenades, you've got anti-plant missiles, you've got lots
Mm.
of random war gear things that you can add on, and you
Yeah.
can kind of walk it through like that as you go step by step if you want.
It would be lovely to also be introduced in the little setting you prepared for the campaign.
Sure, sure. So I have created this world called Kadavah. It's an Imperial world that used to be an Eldari Maiden World. And it's nothing important. It's not on a major space lane. It's just a planet to fight over. And recently, as part of an archaeological dig, an Imperial team has just uncovered this large chamber. And once that chamber opened, all sorts of weird stuff started happening. And
Mm.
a big signal got beamed out to the galaxy in multiple different languages. Not every language was known and understood. And it just connected with all the various different races to be able to send something to investigate. And that's generally the overview. The one thing that's ringing through is like prophetic dreams, people disappearing, and this one key phrase that keeps appearing in the world is this thing called the Hollow Star, and that's the name of the campaign as well.
Nice. So, what are the Horus Stars?
Well,
Let's.
that's to be found out. There
Hey.
are there are many things it could be, and because nobody quite understands it, they're just being drawn to it by this signal. What I'm hoping players will ask themselves is, what did your commander hear in that signal, and what are they going to do about it? So,
Mm.
do you hear this signal and go, oh, that sounds like Xenos nonsense. That needs to be purged? Or do you think, that sounds like it might be a weapon I could use, or
Mm.
a tactical advantage, or there's going to be a big fight over there? I'll join. Who knows what
Mm.
chaos demons hear about this or what the chaos commander hears, for example. Are there gene stealer cults already on the planet that want to take advantage of it? Or are they drawn
Yeah.
there on a space hog by something else? You select your faction, you say, this signal, what did they hear? And once you've
Mm,
decided that, you can just say, how are you going to progress through the campaign? What do you want to do? Do you want to capture it, destroy it, deny it for other people, preserve it? All these different options. And nobody really knows what it is in terms of the players.
so does that mean that by playing, we would discover what it is? By
That's the idea, yeah. So
uh
as things happen and players fight their battles to take control of the planet or to get the upper hand, as we move towards a culmination, um,
Mm.
there will be something special going along as we kind of drip feed the information of what people discover from, if you capture an objective in a game, that's a little bit more information that everybody can take apart,
Work
and maybe
on.
that changes the way they want to fight the next battle, that kind of thing.
Nice. So would it be possible to have alliances? Um, maybe merging to solve this mystery, or like maybe ganging up on someone. Because I'd love to gang up
Right?
on someone there.
You'd love to gang up on somebody in particular.
Yes.
I see it from the point of, if individual factions or individual players have their goals align, then why not? You could
Mm.
say, "Hey, you wanted to use it as a weapon. I want to use it as a weapon. We're both an Imperial force, or we're both playing Chaos. Why don't we team up and play somebody else and have a bigger
Mm.
game? Or why don't we have two little small war bands against a normal size force? That kind of thing." But
Mm.
also in the same vein, if you've got two people who are playing the same faction, say there's two orc players, you don't have to be teaming up. What if you want to fight each other?
Yeah,
So
of course.
different Space Marine chapters can, warp into the system with very different ideas of what assisting the planet is. Some might
Mm.
assist it with a exterminatus torpedo, and others might want to assist it by helping the population. They are on completely different wavelengths, and so might end up fighting each other. So there's
Yeah.
no good guys and bad guys, other than who might be on your side, who might not be, and you can work it out and make deals as you go, for any combination of battles.
Yeah, it reminds me about how like Dawn of War approached that, and
Exactly.
yeah, which is awesome. I really love that aspect because it really allows for a faction you'd think would be allied, but in reality, the Imperium is so vast and so chaotic that, pun intended, that they would just end up fighting each other for the smallest of reasons or just different ideas.
I think that first Dawn of War video game campaign is a really good template for, oh, we're fighting orcs. Oh, Eldar are here. Oh, we need to help the Imperial Guard. Oh, there's chaos. Oh, and you just expand from there. So, a Space Marine chapter comes down to the planet, and the Imperial Guard says, "Hey, this is not your jurisdiction," and they have
Hmm.
conflicting opinions and decide to sort it out on the battlefield against each other. And it also works if you want to play the same person 3 or 4 times across a number of battles, because that just represents a larger engagement or series of skirmishes and battles between two forces who are really out against each other. So
Yeah,
play one person, you can play everybody, you can team up, however you want to do it. All we're doing is giving ourselves reasons to have battles
to
and
play. Yeah,
be invested a little bit with the story.
always having a narrative to play around helps. With at least soft launching an edition that not a lot play, especially now. But I think this is a nice time, especially like that it's corresponding with the release of Armageddon and the hype around older edition. So I think second is really going back to the roots of how
Yeah,
Warhammer works.
fast and loose and rules light, but story. I wouldn't say story
Driven.
heavy, but story driven. Yeah, that's the good word.
Mhm. Yeah, it feels like it. So, what are some mechanics you want to put into the campaign?
Because we're being driven by the narrative that players come along with, it's a case of we can drop in anything you like. So, did your assault squad get annihilated in 2 turns? and didn't do anything. Well, maybe next game you don't play with your assault squad because, yeah, they kind of got annihilated and we're waiting for the reinforcements. And did one guy get killed in the previous battle, or at least taken out of action in the previous battle? Maybe I use a different commander, or maybe I use a lower captain rather than the special character, or do I
Mm.
give him war gear to represent that he's got injured? You can do anything you want based on what's there. And so it's mechanics light, but if you want to go deep and think exactly what happened, okay, so he took a horrible wound. Maybe he's at -1 toughness, -1 move, or maybe his strategy rating comes down because it's the junior officer replacing him for this game. Things like that.
Mm.
That you
Yep.
can just add in yourself and go, this is a bit of a bonus, this is a bit of a nerf, but it's in line with the narrative and the story that's happening.
Would you say that it's built around approaching it as a D&D game? Like that's the mental because like I'm seeing a lot of similarities where people have free will and to do whatever they want. But I think it's just that most are used to having specific rules, specific structures. But this doesn't feel like that. This like feels like it gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah, because I'm not giving out maps with territories, because there's no skill ups or like trackable stat things to do. There's no like mechanics around that because honestly, second edition you can break very easily. Nobody needs extra rules for second edition. It has enough rules. It has too many rules. It has contradictory rules. Even in the, I think it's the Dark Millennium expansion rulebook, it says sometimes you will get irresistible force versus immovable object. And the rules do not tell you which one of those comes out on top. So you just have to figure it out. And the great beauty about second edition is your situation will have come up before. Somebody will have decided the best way to do it that seems fair, and it will probably be on the internet. We rolled a d6, and his immovable object beat my irresistible force. Next time, we'll
Mhm.
roll another d6 and see what happens. And that's the kind of spirit you play it in because yes, we all would like to win. It might be fun, but it's really about the story and the fun that comes from that of telling it. Because I think
Mhm.
that's what'll make it more memorable. It'll be the thing that happened in that first game that affected the second game, that meant you were out for revenge in the third game, and you chose the mission that gave you the revenge opportunity in the third game, for example.
Yeah, and you can choose those as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see fit, or
So usually in second, you'd draw from a deck of 6 or 8, depending. I mean, there's various rules. If you're Tyranids, you've got 3 or 4 things you can't do, but 3 extra things you can do, like special, their
Mm.
own missions. Usually you draw a random mission, and that's the one you're stuck with. I figure if you want to do a specific thing, just pick that mission. And if 2 people pick the same mission, or they worked between themselves and say, "I'm gonna do this, you wanna do this?" Okay, that affects where we play, what the terrain looks like. Maybe we set up differently. Maybe, we do it lengthways rather than widthwise, or anything you can just mess around with second edition rules and just homebrew it on the spot just because it
Mhm.
sounds cool.
And then how does that fit into, for example, choosing factions?
Everybody can choose whichever faction they want. So anything that's in the official codices, which is Space Marines, which is Ultramarines or generic Marines, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Chaos, which covers everybody in Chaos of all the different gods, Eldar, Imperial Guard, Orcs, Sisters of Battle, Tyranids, Squats, Gene
Mm.
Stealers, Assassins. Plus, you can do allies if you want to play like an Inquisitor and his retinue. You go, okay, so I'm using Imperial Guard and I'm taking Imperial agents, and he's commandeered a bunch of planetary defense forces troops, and he's off to do his own thing. That's totally fine. And if somebody's picked up a homebrewed second edition thing that's, for example, using Tau in second edition, if you wanted to, that's probably fine as well. I just need to read it and check it's okay, and then be like, yeah, sure. We're not here to,
Right.
perfectly balance it. We're just here to roll some dice and have fun.
Preach. Love that. Yeah, I think that's the main goal of this. So are there gonna be any unique like artifacts or like buffs for the factions? Like how do you think of approaching that?
So there's always room for it, you know? Um,
Yeah.
for 2 players to come and say, hey, this guy did this thing in this battle. I think he deserves a boost of some description. And we go, oh, maybe give him +1 attack for the next game, or you give him +1 weapon skill with this weapon. But if he dies, he's dead. That
Yep.
that kind of thing. We can mess around with those kind of mechanics on the fly to create the story. Where we keep going back to this is kind of D&D
So
style of just just see what happens. Roll some dice, man.
yeah,
You know?
love to see like for example, after some game that happen, they'll I imagine feed into the story. Do you have like any plans on how to display that or wave it in?
So
Wave.
definitely in our group, because obviously people will report what happened in their games, and I'll ask them to send me very, very basic couple of sentences of what was your mission, what happened, did something cool happen that you wanted to highlight. And that's the point where you can say, okay, you've done certain missions, maybe you've uncovered a extra message, or maybe you found a device that has a scanner on it that can give you more information about the Hollow Star. Maybe you captured a psyker who is telling you something, and so on. And then we kind of slowly reveal the mystery as we go along.
Yes, that's gonna definitely be a motivating force toward the
Yeah,
campaign.
that's that's what I'm
Um,
hoping for, because you might get to the like apocalypse battle at the end, and one set of factions wants to destroy it, and one set of factions wants to claim it.
mm,
Great. There's your apocalypse battle right at the end. And or
nice.
maybe everybody wants to destroy it, and it's a race to try and destroy it. Maybe everybody wants to capture it. This is where we can go with how missions are played, is that you just choose what's appropriate for what the armies are trying to do, rather than say,
Big.
"Oh, I am invading territory X. You have a bonus of 12 points per model." And that kind of thing is very mechanical and needs to be balanced, but second is not super balanced. Why try and balance it? Just do cool stuff.
Yeah, it's about having fun with it, regardless of
Yeah.
how balanced it is or otherwise. I like how that's gonna weave into a story that's it's a shared experience, and it's also I think introducing an idea that we wanted to have in the Meelas, which is a D&D campaign. But instead, it's like a mix of both a war game and a D&D campaign, which is I think that's a nice like way you approach this.
Yeah, it has lots of potential for player decisions to really shape the narrative. And even if people don't have any ideas that come out of a game, you go, well, we just did this because I drew it randomly and then a couple of things happened. There's always the
Mhm.
scope for me as the campaign organizer to say, okay, so that could mean that XYZ. So maybe you want to do this in your next mission. Maybe this is in a piece of information that you received, or it gives you a bit of motivation to go and attack that faction over there because they have something that you might need, or they'll get to what you want first. So maybe you should play that player because that would make an interesting story. And you kind of work it out that way. So, yeah, that freeform old school, seeing what happens. Roll the dice, create a narrative. That's the way you do it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And what would like count as a successful campaign?
I would say, first of all, is people have fun. Second of all, is people get into a different edition or an old edition for themselves, just to try it and have fun with that era. And then I would say, thirdly, is enough games to get to a point where we can say, okay, let's finish it with a big game one day.
Mm,
Turn up in the morning, play to the afternoon, evening, and finish it and say, this is the story. Because there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do. I mean, as a D&D DM, there's
mm,
plenty of little tricks I have up my sleeve for in terms of showmanship and ideas and plot twists and boss second phases, all that kind of stuff. But I think the successful thing is if people who are not me in 6 months' time bring up a reference to the campaign and go, "Oh, remember when this happened? Oh, this was like when I did that." And you
mm,
look back fondly on playing it. That is the biggest success of not only did we have a good time, it meant something, and we keep it in our hearts. Keep that community cohesion and give people cool moments to remember, because that's the best thing about wargaming for me.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Would love to see like do you have any like plans or ideas to showcase the campaign's story or progress, like that, like basically accumulating all of what happened into one document.
Yeah, absolutely. So the campaign book itself is something that I'm going to put online and we'll link in the YouTube description that people can download the PDF and hopefully enjoy reading it, whether they're in Abu Dhabi, UAE, wherever people are listening to
Mm.
this. We can both see it as a piece of campaign reference material. And if, people are in, for example, the US or UK and want to play a game and contribute to it, absolutely. We've got the scope for people to just say, I have a random result. We just played a little game. Drop it into your narrative and it could just help the story move along. So that's the possibilities. But yeah, I'll definitely be keeping up a campaign diary, as it were, of this battle has happened. Somebody has uncovered a new piece of information. Everybody knows this. Now, what battle are you playing next? And it's not something you have to play every week. It's not something that you need to play every other player. It just play it until we're having fun. And if you're not having fun, then you don't have to play it. Maybe we'll
Yep.
switch it up and try a bigger game so everybody has fun together. These are the very kind of loosey goosey mechanics, but the idea is let's make it fun.
We definitely will, because I think we managed to have make every game we played so far fun. So having it in second edition and in the scale, which is a lovely scale to do, very easy to approach and build towards. Small models count. Space Marines are actually elite, so I think it's very welcoming as a test edition to play, especially for those that are not even into 40k.
I'd be very interested for people who are listening to this who are not Meelas attendees, wherever you happen to be in the world, or for whatever reason you happen to listen to us, to take a look at the document and just see what you think. Let me know. Do you think it's cool? Do you think it needs changes? Do you want to be interested in participating wherever you happen to be in the world with a friend or friendship group who also have the second edition curiosity? I'd be really up for that and including other people's stories in it if it inspires people to play games and get to know the edition or get deeper into the edition if they already play it. I think that would be really cool. It's only like a 13-page PDF. 3 or 4 pages of it is lore, and I'd be happy to disseminate it throughout interested parties.
Would be lovely to see it also expand with everyone's games maybe woven into it, or
Yeah,
however you're gonna be doing that. I'm sure you're gonna find an awesome way to just play it as you always do.
inshallah. Thank you.
So, do you know how the campaign will end?
I have a number of options in my mind as to how it could end, but it's also determined on by what the players are trying to do with the Hollow Star itself. I'm
Mm.
not got a pre-planned list of missions and checkpoints that people will go through because it's still going to come out in the play. Because as any DM knows, any plan you have immediately breaks down when it comes into contact with players. So often it's best not to really have a plan. I have options. I have different pathways depending on what people do. And it also might depend on what factions join. If I get one Space Marine and 3 Chaos forces, well, maybe that moves it in a different way. But if I get 12 Space Marines and 1 Eldar, then that's a totally different style of story and the direction it goes. Like, I've got a number of different options that it could end, and I'm 95% certain that it won't be one of those and will be something else that emerges in play.
Would love to see how the guys mess that up. Oh, I'm definitely. I'm not sure, but I have a gut feeling someone will be the. I want to burn this village kind of
And that's
vibe.
great. You can absolutely burn that bridge because, like I say, the Space Marine chapter that comes along and says, we need to evacuate civilians, we need to quarantine the area. And another Space Marine chapter comes along and says, cool, burn everything. And
Burn a view.
that's totally valid. And both of those are completely in character for certain Marine chapters. So
So
I love it.
yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so funny.
I'm looking to start it like after the summer when people are back. So by releasing the campaign book now, it means that people who don't have appropriate sorts of models can start collecting building painting. The Milas isn't, but I'm also not going to be a stickler for, well, that's not on a 25 millimeter base and wasn't made before
Mhm.
1997. Like, I don't care. Like, if you want to use
Mm.
Primaris, I don't mind. It's the rule set that's the fun thing about it. So I'm down with proxies. I'm down with things that are roughly supposed to look like what they are, but it doesn't have to be exact. For people who have second edition, third edition era models at their disposal or can get hold of them or create them, etc., that's even cooler. But I'm not relying on people going to eBay and Troll Trader and getting second edition appropriate models because that way lies madness. So whatever you've got,
Yeah.
let's use it. If you want to get new stuff that's in the era of this kind of campaign itself, so you feel more immersed, that's amazing. But I'd rather people just put models on the table that conform roughly to army lists and roll some dice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would not disagree, but I'd love to see more era appropriate models. I mean, I'm sure none of us gonna beat someone up for having Primaris fighting against space marines that are on 25 millimeters bases, but it's also awesome to see like old models on the table fighting
Yeah.
older like old models. It's just for me, I think it's a driving force, which is seeing a different era being played today. It feels like going through a time machine and just enjoying it how it was, seeing how it played, and also visually it resembling what it used to be. And that sense of nostalgia is honestly something really nice to have. And it's also, I think, a good break from the current GW's models, their design, and seeing how things were more simplistic back then. I'd much appreciate people that go the extra mile and get those era appropriate models.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would adore it if everybody brings out 90s GW metal models on Goblin Green bases. Like that would be phenomenal. But I don't expect or require all of the players to do that. Like just get involved. That's the most important thing. And if you're into the look and feel as well, even better. I think the look and feel matches the style of campaign that I'm running, as well as the type of play that you get in second edition. But I'm happy for you to use what you've got and just rock up and experience the chaos that second edition was.
Yeah, and I think some of us of the guys already are working on some second edition or like older style armies. I remember Andrew working on his Mantis Warriors, and he also has his Ultramarines.
I mean, there's a bit of everything. A Liber Badab army is very translatable to second in almost all cases with very few amendments, but equally so, an Orc collection from 10th, 11th edition works pretty much just as well as an Orc collection in second edition.
Mm.
You'll find the way to make it fit. We have all the rules. We can work it out.
We definitely will. I'm really looking forward to this campaign and how it works out. I'll definitely be prepping some models soon so that by the time we can launch this campaign, I'll have something to work on or something to put on the board.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to what you decide to paint in that second edition, bright, crazy, chaotic, whatever style, because I've seen your really grimdark stuff. I'd be really interested in this super bright, super
So
contrasty stuff.
it'll be very yellow and blue.
I think, unless you have any more questions on the campaign, other than where to find it, which will be go to our YouTube channel. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can just search for the Milas on YouTube and you will find us. And I'll put the link in the description for a PDF download. And hopefully you think it's cool. Hopefully it's an enjoyable read. And hopefully you want to get involved wherever you happen to be, Abu Dhabi and beyond.
Happy to see like a first global campaign
I'm going to
meeting.
say, accidentally do a global Milas campaign would be
Oh
fantastic.
yeah. That's gonna be sick.
And I think we'll be putting different armies and battles, etc., on our Insta page. Of course, is ad.wargaming. So come and give us a follow if you haven't already, so you can see what we get up to. And I think that probably wraps it up for the Meelas podcast this week. Dear listener, if you've got this far, please do give us a like on whatever platform you're on. A subscription or a follow would be fantastic as well to let us know that you like what we're doing. The Instagram I've already shilled at you. And I've already told you that we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, and more. And that's all the stuff we usually say to sign off an episode, other
Yeah.
than Ibrahim's catchphrase.
And don't forget to start new armies.